Former Proteas Rudi Steyn, Symcox and Boeta Dippenaar have questioned Lungi Ngidi's stance on the Black Lives Matter movement. The former cricketers have chosen a stance that says all lives matter, similar to what we've seen in the United States, especially from the Republican side, from those who are opposed to the plight and suffering of black people over centuries. Ngidi has been widely supported on social media for the initiative, for initiating debate on this particular issue within Cricket South Africa and the Proteas itself, I suppose nationwide as well to a certain extent. Cricket South Africa have released a statement backing the Black Lives Matter movement, and via Zoom, I've got André Odendaal, Professor André Odendaal. A very good morning to you, Professor. And also, Simnikiwe Klabanisa is joining me now as well. He is with us via Skype. But, gentlemen, before we speak about this particular matter, I just want to go to the tweets where, you know, this all happened. It all happened online, especially when it comes to Symcox. We're seeing a tweet here where he's basically walking back his initial statement where he was completely against what Lungi Ngidi was saying. And he comes up with this tweet after that, and he says, to clear up the issue, I support Ngidi's stance of eradicating forms of racism in sport. My own grassroots work done weekly attempts. He goes on and talks about all lives matter as well. Right now, farmers are critical to us all, and they need your support. So that's Symcox walking back what he had initially said in a tweet a little bit earlier on, criticizing Ngidi. He was basically saying, listen, all lives matter. What about what's happening with some of the farmers in South Africa? I want to go on and speak with the Professor. Prof, now, you know, you've been involved in cricket for many a year. First of all, what do you think of the criticism that Lungi Ngidi has? You know, he's been criticized by many former cricket players. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm very, very pleased that he's spoken up, and it's a natural thing to be doing given what's happening in the world today. This pandemic has brought hardship and pain to the world, to our country, and to many families, including our own. You know, we buried two members, relatives, in the last fortnight there in Cape Town. And it's been unprecedented the last few months, but it's also been very positive in many ways, enabling us to envisage a future world economically, for instance, that's more inclusive. But very importantly, the Black Lives Matter moment within this drama has almost heightened that need for human solidarity and empathy. And anyone who saw that horrific lynching over 8 minutes, 46 seconds, who can't be deeply touched in sort of to the bottom of their being. You know, I can't understand that. So a young person who's looking forward to their next cricket series, getting fit, being aware of what's going around is fantastic. And really, Symcox's kind of position over time has always been hesitant on transformation and grumbling on the side. And it's a form of, I mean, him backtracking now is a bit like Donald Trump saying he didn't hear the white power people at the golf club and so on, you know. So, I mean, it's really about the exclusion of the other. And this is what has happened for 100 years in South African sport. And it's not about an isolated racist incident that we can say we're against, but understanding the deep systemic nature of racism in South Africa, in the United States, how it's been shaped over 500 years of colonialism, conquest, and slavery. And how in that process you have an intellectual schizophrenia in the West, basically. The colonizers talk about individual human rights. They talk about the rule of law, and they talk about the police being there to protect us all. But it's always been a discourse that's applied more to white people over the centuries than to the colonized and the indigenous people.
Interesting take there, Prof. I just want to bring in Sinikiwe here as well. I mean, the Prof there is mentioning Pat Symcox, but my biggest surprise was we had Steyn coming in, Rudi Steyn, and I mean, he says, I believe the Proteas should make a stand against racism, but if they stand up for Black Lives Matter while ignoring the way white farmers are daily being slaughtered like animals, they have lost my vote. Sims, let me get your thoughts on all of this.
I'm still trying to find the inflammatory part of Lungi's. For starters, he's no doubt to be someone that's been an instigator. He was asked a question in a press conference situation. And so what I don't understand is how he now suddenly became, this instigator that wants to rope in the Proteas into this. But be that as it may, I thought the reaction as a result was an overreaction. It's almost like people who've been watching the Black Lives Matter movement and basically decided that they didn't like it and they wouldn't like to see it, in their own backyard. There was an incredible amount of entitlement and sort of ownership of the sport, to deign to know what to tell Lungi Ngidi, a grown man. He might be younger, but he's a grown man. What to say, think, or do. I can't stress enough the arrogance and the entitlement, and I might as well take it as far as say the privilege of that whole thing. I just couldn't understand it.
I get, I kind of relate with you there when you say a bit of an overreaction for somebody who was asked a very simple question and just gave his thoughts in that particular answer that Lungi gave as well. Now, Prof, you were the only white first-class player to play in non-white South African first-class competition during the apartheid era. You've written numerous books on the history of cricket as well, and you speak with a lot of young people when you're talking about the history of the country, history of sport as well. What is your thought at the present moment? Where are we in terms of sport in general, in terms of cricket as South Africa? Are we becoming more inclusive?
I think if you listen, the Titans have issued their statement in support of Black Lives Matter, dark ballers also. And I think the intent there is to be, in a way, dealing with this issue, even though people might be uncertain. We also had other mixed messages. But South African cricket has come, we can't say nothing has happened, but it's inescapable that we got freedom for the African majority, won political freedom in 1994. But it's not reflected yet in any sort of proper way according to demographics. And I think we need to look at ourselves almost like our 25-year-old democracy, which is far from delivering what was hoped for in 1994. I think it's very much the same in cricket. So the thing for me is to learn from this moment, to tap into that energy and to take the next phase forward in a very dynamic way. We seem to be very fractured. The issues of delivery and corporate governance. There's a great danger in institutional collapse when we all turn on each other like this. But there must be very clear leadership and a value kind of focus that takes up these issues in a very dynamic way. And it's a very simple matter. Like African people have to become dynamic owners of the game in South Africa. They can't be people standing on the side and be given opportunities.
All right, Prof, thank you so much for joining us. And listen, you've written a whole bunch of books, and I don't know how you find the time to be involved in so much writing. But I just want to say to anybody watching out there, pick up The Divided Country: The History of South African Cricket Retold. That is your latest book, and it's very interesting. I think a lot of people would learn a lot about South African cricket from that book. Thank you, Prof. Thanks for joining us this morning. Sims, you stay with us.